To
Cheers,
successful 2023.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'll talk about whatever. My life's all kinds of crazy.
Because you have an Android.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Just suck.
Just subscribe already.
Well, welcome to the podcast, Melissa.
Thank
And Melissa brought her son Dalton on as well. Well, you said you work in close to the area, and you just happened to be getting off at the same time, so you tagged along.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you were just gonna sit out, and I'm like, nah, you gotta
I will join in. It's all good.
join it. Yeah, it never hurts to have a second
You
guest.
should be representing. Where's your
Well,
shirt?
I know. You didn't bring it for me.
I know.
so-
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. So, actually, how I met Melissa, for the people that are listening, was you have been doing your mobile drip IV business
Yes.
at another gym, kind of locally, not super close, but it was a gym I used to go to, a gym I still follow, and I seen you were going there, and I have a big event coming up on the 1st of July. And I was just like, I think it'd be cool to have someone like yourself out there, especially because there's nothing like that in my area.
Right.
You know, you're probably the closest person in our area that does something like this. And I've heard a lot of people, I've heard about this a lot, like the mobile, or not just the mobile IV, but IV drips before. And they've always kind of intrigued me. You know, and like we were talking before the podcast, how, people like will have a bad hangover and they're like, I just
Right.
need to get an IV
Right.
to help with the hangover. So how did you, like, what made you get into this industry? And how long you been in the industry?
So I've been a nurse for about 34 years. Most of my background is in the emergency room. I've worked in a level 1 trauma center, so in St. Louis. So that's where most of my experience is. About probably 10 years ago, my husband and I went on a trip, a medical trip, and we saw this mobile IV unit, and we're like, what a novel idea. We should do that. That's really cool. So we came back, we started looking into stuff, and the clientele, it just wasn't the right time. It just it just didn't happen. Kind of let the dream go, but it's always been a dream in the back of my mind. And then all of a sudden, I went to this friend's house in Texas that she moved from St. Louis to Texas, went over to her sister's house, who I kind of knew through the grapevine as well. And we're talking, and she's like, oh, yeah, got this nursing friend who's moving in from Dallas. From California to Dallas, and he's talking about maybe wanting to start this mobile nursing business. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And she's like, why? And I said, because I've always wanted to do this. And she goes, the problem is we need a medical director to be able to, because as this type of a business, you have to have a medical staff person to oversee you.
Okay.
For ordering all the medicines that you need and things like that. And so my husband just happens to be an emergency room physician.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
yeah. So, but we had, of course, we lived in the St. Louis area, Dallas. So we just decided to get together and go through things and see what we thought, and we just decided to go for it. So
So do you have? I might have got lost a little bit there. You have friends in Texas that did the same thing?
no, we all went in together. So myself, Abby Wallace, and Jared Gomez were all co-owners together.
Okay.
So we're all nurses,
Uh-huh.
and that's kind of one thing that we decided we want to pride the business on is just hiring nurses for the professional aspect of it. A lot of places use paramedics, and I have nothing against paramedics. I think they're great, but we wanted to stick to the just strictly nurses to be doing this. And so the three of us just got together, talked about what to do, and we just decided to go for it. It was always been a dream of theirs.
Yeah.
And we just decided Dallas is such a hugely growing, fast-growing area. It's perfect. Let's start here. And so I started traveling to Dallas
Really?
like twice, sometimes 3 times a month. We got everything going.
That sounds like a ton of work
It was a lot of work.
to have to fly out to Dallas.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're flying, right?
Sometimes I drove. Most of the times I
crazy.
flew because the drive was about 9 hours.
Yes.
So I got to where I was mostly flying, yes.
Yeah.
Having
And
fun with rental cars and
rental cars.
mice in the headboard. And
Oh, yeah. Lots of interesting stories along the way. Growing the business, but the three of us just had this passion. We started in Abby's house, and we were just kind of practicing on each other, had some people come over to the house, and next thing you know, we go live, and it's just taken off hugely in the Dallas. So Abby and Jared still run the business in Dallas.
Okay, and then so how long was it before you like, I'm going to do it in St. Louis?
So
Or in my area? Because you're not quite, I'm sure you service St. Louis, right?
I've been out to a few areas in St. Louis, but mostly, I mean, I've been so busy in the Washington and immediately surrounding area that
Don't even need to go to St. Louis.
no.
Yeah.
It's just, it took off way faster than we were going in Dallas about 8 months, had everything going. And I just got to thinking, well, let's get it legit here in Missouri. Let's get things going. And at least while I'm home, I can be helping, make some extra money, do some business, help some people out.
Yeah.
It probably won't take off that well. And it went.
It did. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you want it to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Other than the other way around.
Right.
So like whenever you like, because is it like events or is people actually calling you and saying, hey, can I get an IV?
Both.
So someone can just call you up and schedule an appointment?
Or our website. I've had people schedule just on the website. That's one way to do it. And then our phone number, I've had people just call. But I've also, a lot of people like yourself, inviting me to events where my name gets out there. I go to like 3 different gyms right now. I go to the YMCA in Washington. I go to Anytime Fitness in Washington. And I go to the Competitive Edge.
Okay. So they have like event days where you go out, or is it just like a meeting spot where you meet the people?
So kind of a little of both. So they just set up a couple hour time period, tell everybody I'm going to be there, and people just show up. And I'm hopping.
Yeah.
Most, just going, trying to get everybody registered. And
I like that idea. I want to do that at my gym
yes,
as well. Like
I would love to do that for sure.
because I think it's something I'm always trying to think of things that I could do to benefit my members in the facility. That's something that they
Right.
would really enjoy to do. And I don't, like I said, that nobody does that in our area.
Right.
And I say nobody does in our area, and I think there is one person actually like starting something up, but it's like they're not going to be mobile. You're going to have to go to them. It's
Right.
going to be in house. It's probably not something that they're like. It's probably not their top focus. It's probably something that they found a way to add in. Probably.
Right.
You see a lot of stuff like that pop up in small towns where they just try to like
Right.
add a bunch of random stuff together. And I'm not saying nothing against them. I'm just saying like the mobile thing is a huge part of it.
Yes.
Right? To be able to have someone come out to my facility and have it say like on Friday, like one Friday a month or something like that, or every 3 months, have you come out. Everybody knows it. It's like a set day.
Right.
And I think it could be something that would be good for your business, but also great for my members.
Yes.
So I like that.
And, a lot of people think of an IV infusion and a mobile IV. Well, if I'm drunk or hungover, that's only time I need it, which does it work for that? Absolutely, 100%. But at the same time, a lot of our drips focus on staying healthy and, getting the best benefit out of, if you're going to the gym and you're working out and you're trying to improve your fitness level, why not take care of your body in the same way?
Yes.
So that's more of what we're promoting. And, a lot of the vitamins and stuff that we give help you to give you energy like B12,
Sure. Well, and the idea that you can just go out and get really drunk and then
Right.
go get an IV all the time is not.
Right.
It's just not a healthy habit.
Exactly.
To get started.
Exactly.
But I could see like, yeah, if you go out, maybe go to wineries, have a couple too
Right.
many drinks on Saturday,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
I understand it. But yeah, like we were talking before the podcast, I just got my blood work done. I'm low in vitamin B12, and that's something that I don't know unless I go and get my blood work checked all the time.
Right.
Even taking a B12 pill, I don't know if my levels are where they're supposed to be
Right.
at. And we were talking about how when you take a pill form, you don't actually get all the vitamin B12 that's in the pill,
No.
right? And you're saying it was something like 30%?
Yes,
As low as
about 30%. And most of the time, also all the additives they're adding into the medicines that you're taking by mouth, and you're just not absorbing it because your kidneys are flushing it out because they're water soluble vitamins. So your kidneys are just going to flush that rest of that out of there. You're not going to get the full amount.
Yeah. Now, is there like, you think there's like the gummy and the pill form, you think there's a difference in them?
No, same difference.
Yeah. Same
Because
exact
it still
same
has to
thing.
go through your gut.
Sure.
And it still has to bypass your kidneys.
So, and then your body's just like processing it out.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
I don't need you. Like go away. But If you get a shot or you get it through your IV, it bypasses your gut, bypasses your kidneys. It goes straight to the cellular level where you need it, and you're going to, almost get all of what I'm giving you, which, to absorb in your body.
Yeah. So Melissa said she offered to give me a vitamin. Is considered a vitamin drip, or what do you actually consider? Like, what's it called? What's this contraption that we have set up that you're going to put me on
So
today?
I'm going to give you our IV called the Comeback.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing that is because you're a gym guy, right? And I'm sure you probably work out a lot. And so this one is designed for just that. For someone who, works out a lot, you're really sore, and you just want to get the full benefit. And it has everything from vitamin B, vitamin C, also has glutamine, which glutamine is really good for that muscle stimulation, help muscle grow. It's got magnesium, which might help. You were saying sometimes you can get cramps.
Yeah, I've definitely worked on it because I was saying that years ago I had taken some SARMs, and I definitely noticed around that time. It took me some time to get away from it, but yeah, I mean, still,
Right.
I mean, it's not bad like it once was, but yeah, I don't think it could hurt, could it?
No, no. And then it's also got some Toradol in it, which is kind of like a strong ibuprofen.
Okay.
So it's an anti-inflammatory also. So all of that combined just kind of helps with any soreness or,
Well, and I've been cleaning my parking lot. I got a big parking lot at my gym, and I've been cleaning it
right?
all week long. And I've been out there with one of those backpack leaf blowers.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't they're not that heavy, but when they're on your shoulders
Right.
for 6 hours in the sun, it starts like yesterday. My traps were starting to cramp up because I didn't realize it when you're walking
Right.
around doing it. You just start to get numb.
Right.
And then you take it off, and I'm like, oh, I can feel that. Like even today, I can still feel it a little bit. So
Right.
maybe it'll help with that a little bit too.
Yeah.
So let's try to set this up.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a little clip from like my Facebook and Instagram
Okay.
story as well.
Okay.
While you set it up. So
Okay. All
if
right.
you're cool with that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little. Anyone that's just listening to the podcast right now, it's gonna be a little quiet because I have. You're good. Yeah, you can take it off. Yeah, they're good. I'll talk to them. They can listen to me for a little bit. Melissa has it already set up behind me, so she already did everything just to try to save us some time. So basically, all you really gotta do is just set the tube up in my arm.
Yes.
Is that all we gotta do?
So basically, I mean,
Yeah, I can relay it for him though.
so I mean, I'm gonna start the IV. The needle. A lot of people have to, they think that the needle stays in their arm. Needle comes out, and all that's in there is this little plastic straw, basically.
Oh, okay.
That's,
So she's saying that when she goes to stick the IV in, the needle goes in, but there's actually a plastic straw that goes. It's in a vein, right? It goes directly into your vein, and then when she pull the needle out, and it's just a plastic straw, and then the IV is actually just going to sit and drip while we do the podcast.
Yes.
How long does it take to do one?
About 30, 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes? Okay.
Depends
Let me
on
get.
what kind of vein I use and how your veins cooperate.
And you guys are also going to have to listen to me talk on my video here too. For my. So we got anyone that's not watching the podcast. If you guys are listening in your cars, sorry, Dalton.
Oh, you're good.
She's got a whole. What are these called? It's just like a towel that laid down and like a bunch of cleaning and stuff.
Not a sterile field, but a clean field. So that, because there is, when you do start, anytime you're penetrating the skin like that, you can have, risk of infection.
Okay.
So that's why we clean it really well with alcohol and try to keep it as clean as we can. So.
Okay. I'm trying to get me in this thing too. Doesn't really want to crop right. This is funny. So, what's up, you guys? We got Melissa Shust here from the Drip Mobile IV, and she's on the podcast tonight. And on the podcast, she's going to give me an IV drip,
Yes.
right? And what do you call it? The comeback?
Comeback.
It's called the comeback. So this is my first time ever getting an IV, and she was kind enough to bring everything out, set it all up, and give me the hookup. So just kind of just my reaction to it all.
All right.
Cool.
So
Yeah, what, you need my arm?
I need your arm. And
Okay. It's so funny the amount of people that I've had on my podcast and the crazy things that we do down here. I had Barely Covered come on like very early on, like first 5 podcasts, and you just tell me where I need to move my arm. But they brought a entire band set and played 2 songs for me in my basement. They literally played 2 songs just for me.
That's
Are we
awesome.
on Facebook right now?
No, this is just a recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I need to edit anything out or whatever,
All right. So I'm not.
is Needles
Needle coming, and so I just need you to hold still.
okay?
For me, okay.
This is the nervous part for me.
It'll be
Don't
a
flinch.
little bit of a poke
Okay.
right now.
Oh. Yeah, that wasn't bad at all,
The
though.
worst
Actually,
part.
that was the worst part.
Yep, that was the worst
Oh, see, that wasn't bad at all. It is a very small needle.
Yeah, very small needle.
It's always an interesting feeling.
Got him first try.
That's it. No.
I never had much trouble giving blood. I know some people do.
Did you?
My
Did it feel too bad? Did you feel?
No, I didn't. Honestly, didn't feel anything.
We
It wasn't even like a poke or anything.
Tend to use smaller needles because there's. I'm not trying to save your life or anything.
Right.
You know, I'm just trying to infuse some fluids.
So what gauge is that needle?
That's a good question.
This is a 22.
22. And then if someone was giving blood, you know.
If someone was giving blood, you needed at least a 20 or an 18.
Okay, and so they get bigger as they go down.
Yes.
So Melissa's saying this needle that we're using right now is like a 22, but if you're gonna give blood, it's like a 20 or 18. So it's like, is it a gauge? Is that how they say it?
Uh-huh. And I have 20s. I could have used a 20 pretty easily on you, but there's just no reason to cause that extra pain
Okay.
unless you're in a big hurry. Now, if someone's, because it takes about 35, 45 minutes for this to infuse.
Well, I will say I slept like crap last night. So
Okay.
you think it'll help with that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I feel like it will.
Yes.
And he's able to move his arm a little bit if he wants to, right?
Right.
Because he's not got a needle in there.
Right.
Okay.
So if you, here's
Yeah, I don't have to leave my arm like this the entire time.
You don't, but if you, just because of where it's at, if you bend it, it'll just slow the drip process down a little.
Okay. So just if I leave it kind of, I can bend it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt anything to bend
Okay.
it, and we can get rid of all this.
I didn't think about that part of it.
Well, so when I used to give plasma, I had a problem if I moved it all. They left the needle in when they were doing a plasma donation, and it would rip out a vein and it'd blow your vein up.
Holy
Move
cow.
around too much, yeah.
It'd blow your vein out. Like, what's that mean?
Well, so my
That
right
sounds
side,
pretty gnarly.
yeah, my right side I'd have blowouts occasionally, and it basically just
They have
creates a
this big,
right. They use like 18s or 16s.
then
what's
they're
it do?
trying to take it out so fast that it can.
So basically, you just start bleeding under your skin, and it creates a bubble under your skin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then what happens there? They got to pull the blood out, or is it just
They just
find its
let
way?
it diffuse its way back in over
Find its
time.
own way in the body.
Yeah.
The body is an amazing thing.
Right?
Okay, honestly, that wasn't bad at all, Melissa.
good.
You were very professional at it.
Oh, good.
I would trust you to do it again for
All
sure.
right. Awesome.
So let me grab this. These guys, you guys are listening to podcasts. You guys are kind of got to just deal with the kind of back and forth banter that we've had right now. But yeah, pretty simple. You said it's going to take about 30.
35, 40 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fine. We could talk for a little bit. So, like with the mobile drip thing, like, let me find my water. Can I drink?
Yeah,
That's fine.
absolutely.
Like, what's the big plan with it? Like, what are you planning to do with it? You guys going to grow?
Yes.
guys-
This
this-
is, we're already growing faster than we anticipated.
Right. And how
Coming.
long have you been? You've been not even 8 months.
We started officially in October of last year. So
You hired your first additional employee, what, 2 months ago?
it's been a little more than
3
2
months?
months ago. Yeah.
But how many do you have now, though? Because you have more than
So-
2, right?
In Dallas, we've got several employees in Dallas. And so that's
Okay.
what kind of, okay, we've got it situated there. They can kind of handle it. Now maybe I can come here and try to start doing some stuff. But the original plan was just to come here. I was going to stay in Dallas, and just while I was home, just get some extra business and just feel it out, thinking it's probably not going to go that well. I was wrong.
Yeah. So you just quit nursing?
Oh, well, I was already kind of sort of semi-retired.
Okay.
He played basketball a lot, and so I was watching his sports and doing all that, and so I wasn't really working. And then all of a sudden, he's gone, grown, whatever. Now what do I do? I'm
Yeah.
bored, and do I want to go back to the ER? No, not really.
Right.
So
The ER is pretty stressful, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
for
always
sure.
chaos coming in and
sure.
out of there. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then so then you had some friends down in Texas. You know, they had that same idea basically that
Yep.
you had.
Yep.
And you're like, yeah, we should make this happen.
Right.
And so it's here in Missouri. It's just you, your husband, and one other person now.
I've recently just hired 2 new nurses.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'm adding pretty quickly.
Yes. Okay, so you got 5 people
Yep.
total, including you and your husband.
Correct.
Because that's what when I was looking on your Facebook page, that's what I was seeing, and that's because there's so much demand for it.
Yes. It's keeping me hot. He can tell you how busy it keeps me. I'm very busy. I'm gone all the time. Like it's a pretty much first thing in the morning, late in the evening, I'm hopping. But I'm going to people like you, for
Yes.
instance. I'm going to the gyms. I'm trying to get my name out there because I want everybody to know how good these vitamins really are for you,
Will
how well they help you.
you think the travel part of it will get the oldest quickest?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just because you're having to travel,
The traveling was
maybe because surely you try to schedule out like if you have so many, surely you try to schedule them out in the same area on the same day.
Yeah,
Try to help you out.
that's usually that seems to be the way it's working out. It
Yeah.
seems to be kind of
You get a lot of last minute people too, though.
true.
And you take the last minute stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm jumping on it. I'm
7 a.m. on a Sunday.
I'm
And-
doing one on 7 o'clock on Sunday.
Is it just because you're that hungry to get it going, or
Yes,
like, where's the passion come from? You really just want to help people,
I really want to help people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I became a nurse.
right? That's just
I
who you are.
mean-
It's in you.
Yeah, and I also, like I said, I'm very much into keeping my body healthy and moving my body, and I'm not getting any younger, and I'm starting to kind of feel the effects of getting older, and these really do help you stay active and move your body, and so I'm all about that. So,
Can I make a request to pull the microphone a little closer?
oh yes,
Just the people that are
Yep.
listening.
yes,
Melissa.
sorry, that's okay.
Yeah, because okay, so you were a marathon runner before, right?
Yes,
And so like that's where you start to notice it too.
Oh,
like
yes.
with age and doing things like that. Were you doing like IV drips when you were doing marathons?
no, not when I first started.
No.
So this is new to the whole concept of this while I'm marathon training, and it has been huge for me. Huge with all my workouts that I have, all my strength training, all the soreness, keeping my body able to move.
Have you thought about trying to like advertise events like that? Like at marathons, like going to marathons?
Oh,
and-
we did in Dallas. We went to the Dallas Marathon Expo, and it was crazy. We were there for 2 full days. Myself, Jared, and Abby, and we were busy the whole entire time. So yeah, that's definitely
I feel like that could be a demand
yes.
all over the place. Because if somebody wants you to come out to an event, is that something like you do for free, or like people got to pay for that?
No, at the events, I mean everybody, I ask them to pay, and I usually give some sort of a discount because if I can get a bunch of people together in one place, it's a little bit easier on me. I'm not having to drive from one place to the next.
The people that are at the event have to pay, or the vendor? Is kind of what I'm asking. Like,
Oh yes,
Like-
so like when we went to
or
the
you
Dallas,
just, or you, yeah, because that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like,
yes,
and especially at my event coming up, are you planning on doing drips there?
oh yeah, if
You want to do
it's-
some drips, and people can just pay for it there?
Yes,
Because I think that'd be a really cool
yes.
experience for a lot of people.
Oh,
Just
for
to be able
sure.
to sit down and try.
Anytime we go to a venue, we're open for business.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's you want a B12 shot, a Libo B shot, you want any of our IVs, usually give a discount when we're in a group setting like that at an event. But yeah, I mean, but as far as you mean paying to go to the expos, do I pay for that?
Like it was a charge just for you to show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually, like the marathon expos are pretty pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can't remember exactly what we paid.
You're paying to go.
Yes.
They're not paying you to go.
Oh no.
I know. I was
No, 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 no,
asking,
no,
like,
no.
are
You
you
pay.
like, hey,
I'm
for
getting ready
Melissa to show up, I need this much money, regardless.
No,
Because
No, Because, well, like, for instance, I'm going to do the fair. I'm going to go to the
County
Washington.
fair. I think it's a great idea.
And they charge. It's $300 for the week for a booth.
It's a vendor charge.
Yeah, the vendor
what
charge.
they're charging.
Yes.
I see.
Correct. Which is what I paid at the expo, which
You paid like
expos,
what, 1,500 for
yeah,
those
it
2
was
days?
it was pretty expensive. But
Yeah.
we made it back easily.
Yes. And okay, I guess I think it depends on where you go.
Yeah.
Right? I think if someone invites you, you could probably charge.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I asked you to come out to my event, you could be like, yeah, it's going to cost.
Right.
If you want me to be there this many hours, I need to get paid this amount of money. Because at an event like that, what happens if you just show up and nobody comes and does
It's-
any of them? Then it's like you
It's
wasted a whole
happened.
day.
It's happened.
Yeah. It's part of
But
business.
for me, I feel like I'm not wasting it. I didn't waste a day because I hand out my business cards and I've gotten calls from someone took my business card. Oh, I was at the gym. I didn't have time to get an IV, but I'd like one now.
I will say, I feel unless my arms are just like going numb from sitting in the same position, I feel like it's like kind of cold feeling.
It is cold. It will feel cold.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Because the fluids are, and which in the summertime, that should feel good. Some people actually taste the vitamins also.
Oh, that'd be a weird experience.
Yeah. Not everyone, but occasionally people, I always taste them when I get them. So kind of like a Flintstone vitamin taste. In
I didn't
your
know
mouth.
if it was just because I wasn't really moving my arm very much.
It's probably the fluid.
I mean, it's cold in here too,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I don't know if that's just like a thing I'm supposed to feel. Or...
In the wintertime, we've talked about it's hard because we're mobile. We don't have a brick and mortar. We're strictly mobile, but a lot of people do complain about the coldness and they don't like it, especially if it's already cold. So,
Boo-hoo.
yeah, I know.
It's
But
like so minor.
I
like,
kind of
a
like the
minor
cold,
thing.
especially if it's in the summertime.
Yeah. Well, because like at my event, it's gonna be outside. At the fair, it's gonna be outside. So yeah, it's probably gonna be
It'll feel really nice then.
be a pleasant feeling.
Exactly.
I bet the fair you're gonna get a lot of people
Yeah.
because people are going to the fair. They're getting drunk every night.
Right.
And they're probably gonna see
Right.
that and they're like, I'm gonna come here tomorrow
Right.
and get a drip from Melissa.
And then what I'm hoping is that Nellie wants an IV.
Oh, Nellie's gonna be there this year.
Yeah.
That'd be
That's
pretty cool.
I mean, those guys, they get IV drips all the time, right?
Yeah.
So how convenient that you've got someone at the fair, call them up. Hey, can you come to my bus?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be a cool opportunity.
So I want to make my coworkers in Dallas jealous because
there you go.
if they're not here and I get to start an IV on Nellie,
Yeah.
just saying.
That would be a cool opportunity. And I could see that happening too.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, that's what I would like to happen, but we'll see.
Well, it's definitely becoming very popular. Just the drip, like
Yes.
just the IV infusions.
Right.
That's technically what they're called, right?
Yes.
IV infusions.
Uh-huh.
But the mobile thing
Right.
is where it's taking it to a whole nother level.
Yes.
And I think there's a whole business out there for people
Right.
all over the world.
Yes.
And like I'm sure there's other mobile IV infusions. Like you probably aren't the first ones, are you?
No. There is
Huge in
definitely.
Vegas, like casinos and stuff. Like you've seen that out there. They'll come to your hotel room and
Oh, really?
an IV
Oh,
in
yeah.
the hotel room.
Which I've tried that a couple places I've gone just because I want to see what other places, how they do their business. And so I've done it myself and it's, pretty similar to what we do. And so, yeah, it's very popular. The part about the mobile that I like so much is the ability to go to people's houses when they're sick, not feeling well. You can stay in your PJs, whatever. I just come, start your IV.
Doesn't that worry you a little bit though? Showing
I
up to
worked-
random people's houses?
I worked in the ER. It doesn't.
But it makes you more vulnerable.
It does. And I mean, if I know someone has certain type symptoms, yeah, I'll protect myself, But
No, I'm thinking like
Getting
oh,
robbed going out there, yeah.
Oh, no, yes, definitely that has crossed our mind.
Especially in Texas, you've had issues because
I've had a couple of times
work
that
North Dallas up there. I mean,
felt-
45 minutes north of Dallas, and you get into some pretty desolate
I've felt
places.
a little, but most people are legit and they're
Yeah.
calling us and because they want us to help them. And,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it is on the back of our minds.
yeah, I mean it would be such a weird thing to conjure up like I'm going to call
Right.
this mobile IV person. now.
Right.
Like there's so many other
Yeah.
Right.
I would unless you're into the IV infusions, you probably don't even know about
Right.
what they are. And that's like I would say like most people I'd say it's very new to a lot of people, especially in Missouri.
Right.
Like, it's not something that a lot of people are doing.
Yes.
I would just be worried. You bring your husband. You got to bring your husband or someone with you on someone. No.
I always, though, I like to, and I mean, it doesn't make a difference. I guess if someone is calling you to do something crazy, then they're going to do it regardless. But I always make sure, like that I have at least their phone number, their address. And most of the time, if someone's booking with me, there's like a $50 deposit that they put down. And so then that makes me know, okay, they're serious. They paid the $50.
You're sharing your location
And I do share
at
my
all times,
location.
too. So we're always checking on her, making
Pretty
sure.
safe.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Feel pretty confident with it.
I've done
Have
some.
you ever just pulled in a driveway and turned around?
No.
Never done that?
No.
That's a first for everything, though.
No. I mean, it could happen, but so far.
I'm sure it's got to happen at
It
least one time.
probably will. I mean, I've had a couple of touchy ones that I've been a little uneasy, but they've all worked out.
And
so.
is that just like condition of the house, or is it like location, or is it the person?
The two I'm talking about it was the person, and they were just made me a little uneasy, but
Sure.
Yeah. The guy trying to come to the house to get an IV, is that the one you're talking about?
yeah, that was a little interesting. I'm still trying to figure that out because sometimes people feel you out and they're like, okay, I'm going to get this IV, and a couple of my buddies are going to get this IV, and then you never hear from them, and then they call you. I made the mistake of giving out my personal cell phone because that's just me.
Sure.
And so he called me on my personal cell phone and said, "I'll be over in just a few minutes if you're there." And I'm like, "No,
We don't have
not how it works."
Yeah, we don't have a location. You come
No,
to.
yeah, I mean, so maybe he was just confused, which is possible. But now I've not had any incidents yet, but I mean, it is on the back of my mind for sure.
Yeah. Well, like, going to someone's house for the first time, you never know what you're going to walk into.
Right.
Like, you never know, like,
Right.
what kind of mess it's going to have in there, or just, like,
Yeah.
kids running around or crazy dogs or anything like that.
Right.
That's what I imagine. I guess my mind just goes worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, I have had the crazy kids, which this comes in handy because I can just like shut it up and, make everything to where they can't touch it. Because used to, I just had a bag and I had this little 2-year-old and she was like unzipping all of my zippers and pulling stuff out. And I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
There's things in there that might hurt you. And mom wasn't really helping me out. And I'm like, so that's why I got this, so I can close it up.
See, I couldn't. That's where I would have the hardest trouble. Because it's like, you kind of just got to, like, kind of look back and forth. And be
Right.
like, hey,
Right.
can you do something with your kid?
Yeah.
That's what I'd be worried about. I had to do, at my gym, I had to get to the point where I couldn't even allow anyone under 13. Because people were trying to bring their kids in.
Yeah.
And it just became such a big liability. And
Right.
I would tell people when they came, I'm like, we can try it out, but they work out with you. Like,
Right.
you have them by you, and they don't lose your sight, and you help them. Like, you guide them through it. 'Cause
Right.
I want to see,
Right.
I would like to see actually younger generation people get in the gym and be comfortable with it. The
Right.
number one reason people don't come to the gym is they say they don't feel comfortable.
Right.
Like, they like, I just don't know what I'm doing, and I think people are staring at me, whatever. And so, like, I think if someone started the gym
Right.
when they were young, going with their parents all the time, where they knew, like, hey, this is just somewhere you're supposed to go every day.
Right.
Even if it's just like to loosen up a little bit and stretch out, like, that does wonders for a lot
Right.
of people.
Oh yeah.
But it got to the point where, yeah, I had a couple instances where they just let their kid come in and just run wild. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, I don't say anything to him. Sometimes I'd be like, hey, your kid's got to be with you.
Right.
But it got to the point where I just put up signs and said, no one under
Right.
13.
Yeah.
The gym I go to is like that. We have a few parents that bring their kids, and normally the kids are pretty good, but occasionally, you'd be working out in the evening, and there's just a deadlifting or whatever. You look in the mirror, there's a kid running behind you. I'm like, okay, you got to watch these kids because I'm going to drop a weight not knowing they're there. I'm going to hurt somebody.
Yeah, the one, because I was kind of like looking into it for a little bit. It didn't take me very long, 8 months, before I was like, nope, can't do it anymore. But I was reading a story online, and I can't remember where it was at, but a gym was allowing kids to come in there. They had the 45 pounds Olympic bar. Someone had swung it, it had hit the kid in the head, and it caused brain damage. And the kid ended up dying from it. Like, it was like some type of like internal bleed on the brain or something. And yeah, you don't recover after that.
No.
If a young kid dies in your facility,
Yeah.
you don't recover because you're always that gym
Right.
that kid died in.
Well,
That's what everybody always says about it.
lawsuits and things like that follow. It's
Yeah, that's not even talking about the lawsuit.
Right.
Like
Right.
that, the lawsuit alone would probably run you out of business. But even if you could get past the lawsuit,
Right.
yeah, it's just ruined. So after that, I was like, I'm sorry, guys. Like I allow them to come in; they can sit on a bench. But outside of that,
Yeah.
yeah, because so what do you do? Like when you're because you set them up, it took you less than 5 minutes, probably, right?
Right.
Like it's a pretty fast setup.
Right.
And so then what do you do? Just hang out?
Just hang out.
Just talk with
Sometimes
them?
it's awkward. Sometimes, I mean, I'm pretty easy to talk to, I feel like, but most of the time it's the conversation just flows. But every now and then it'll, I've gone places where someone's doing business, like they've got, they're on the phone, they're working, and I'm just, I'm charting, doing my stuff. I mean, I can easily, I have my iPad and I can easily occupy myself by charting, catching up on charting I need
Sure.
to do.
And some people aren't talkers.
No.
Some people just don't want to talk. Like,
And if
they
they're
just have
sick,
lunches.
I try to give them their space. Like
Oh,
if I
sure.
get there and someone's not feeling well, I'm like, you rest. I'll just be right out here charting and doing whatever if you need me.
Mm-hmm.
So
You ever gave one to yourself when you're like did you ever have COVID and you gave yourself one? Did it help?
yes, 100%. percent I've had COVID and yes, I didn't give it I could not give myself. I know some people can. I could not give myself. So one of my coworkers gave it to me, but
Okay.
like I said, I've had them when I've been sick. I went to Dallas felt like every time I got on a plane, I got sick.
Yeah.
Because I was tired, run down, all the traveling I was doing. And the last time I went, I said, Abby, as soon as I get there, I need an IV. I'm like feeling horrible. And we had a big event the next day that I had to be ready for. So she's like, all right, I'll hook you up. Got my IV, made it through the event, felt so much better. I mean, it really, really does work. I always say,
You had COVID that time, or you just
no,
you're just
no,
worn
that
out,
wasn't
just
COVID.
tired
But
and
that
not
was
feeling
just,
well?
yeah, that one wasn't COVID. But I've used it for COVID too, and yes, definitely. And so that's kind of how I was glad that I got to bring it here because I had COVID, called one of the IV companies in St. Louis and told them, I've got COVID, but I'd like to get an IV. They wouldn't see me. None of them.
Because you had COVID.
Because I had COVID. Not that, and that's not how, I mean,
I didn't think they could turn you down for something like that.
no, they would not see me,
I could see them putting you in a room by yourself.
right?
But
No, they're like, no, if you have COVID, we can't see you. And no, we won't come to your house if you have COVID either.
and this was like a hospital or a
No, this was just like an IV company.
okay, it's an IV
Like,
infusion type
right,
company?
but
Okay.
they had a brick and mortar, but they wouldn't. And so I mean, I'm here to help everybody. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
I feel like
mean,
that's the time I'd
Yes.
be calling you for sure.
yeah.
I don't get sick very often.
Right.
Like I try to. I don't know if I just have a good immune system.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since COVID, I started taking vitamin D,
Mm-hmm.
vitamin C. Now I'm taking B12 every day as well. But ever since I started doing that, I've been having I haven't been
good.
sick. Well, I've had COVID. Mm-hmm. Outside of COVID, I haven't
Right.
had
Right.
anything else. Like
Yeah.
usually, I used to like as a kid, I would get sick once a year. I'd probably get the flu or a cold.
Right.
It would take me down for a few days. But yeah, I haven't got anything like that in a long time.
Yeah.
So, but like COVID,
Yeah.
that was the time.
Yeah.
Because it will put you down.
Oh, yeah.
And like most of the time when I get it, it's just like aches
Right.
all over the place. But I feel like something like that would really, like a vitamin D. Isn't vitamin D the big one that helps?
Vitamin C and zinc.
Vitamins.
Vitamin C
Okay,
and
C.
zinc are the big immunity ones.
Oh, okay. I just remember Joe Rogan talking about like vitamin D.
I mean,
for a
vitamin
while.
D does as well, a little bit with immunity, but vitamin D mostly is going to help, give you the energy. It helps regulate your metabolism a little bit. So, yeah. But
I think Tato takes 10,000 units
the
of
vitamin
D3
D.
a day. Yeah, or my dad, he takes 10,000 units a day, which is two of the 5,000 pills.
Dang.
Yeah.
well, it does help with your immunity as well, but not quite as much as vitamin C and zinc do. But
Well, I guess it depends on the person too,
Yeah.
right? Because it depends on your levels.
right, true. Which most people don't have a good vitamin B12 level.
Really, it's kind of a common thing.
Yeah, it's like
we looked that up, like how many people have a low vitamin B12. I thought it was just like in my family.
No, it's
thing.
because most people don't absorb it like they need to.
Where do you get it? Where do you get it from?
Where do we get it?
Yeah, like where does it come from?
So, oh, you mean what produces it?
Yeah, like the vitamin, because like vitamin D is like the sun,
Right.
right, and vitamin C is like
Right.
fruits, like oranges,
Right. And vitamin B is all like B12 is like all your leafy greens, like what most
Oh.
of the population doesn't eat.
Okay, so yeah,
So it's all, yeah.
lettuce, spinach.
Yeah, all those.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I've been slacking on eating my greens.
Yeah,
lately.
Yeah.
It's
So-
a lot of times for me. It's just meat, carb. It's
Right.
good moving in my life. You know, especially
Same
with,
here. Yep.
and I enjoy like I like all greens, but it just sometimes
Yeah,
I'm just on the go,
right.
and I just
Yeah,
don't-
it's hard
don't
to
slow
do that
down
one on the
sometimes.
go.
And it doesn't help that all the green supplements taste awful.
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Terrible.
right.
The stuff that I have, which as long as you go with a good company, it's drinkable.
You're right.
But they're never good.
Uh-huh.
They're never they never taste amazing.
Right.
I've had some stuff from Walmart before, and I couldn't even put it down. It's like grits. It's like sand inside of that.
Right.
So we have actually that greens right there. That
Yeah.
greens plus is the stuff that I sell at my gym, and,
Oh,
and
it's
it's
pineapple in it.
yeah, it's a hint of pineapple, but it's a very light hint of pineapple.
Oh, okay.
I always just mix mine in with like protein powder.
Yeah.
They have a meal replacement that's like 2 big scoops, and it's just like supposed to be a whole meal,
Right,
and I'll mix it in with that just because it's so thick and stuff. You can't really
right.
taste the change in it. So, what was it saying, Ariel? In the United States and United Kingdom, approximately 6% of adults younger than 60 have vitamin B12 deficiency, but the rate is closer to 20% in those older than 60. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what mine was because for the first time, I'm 30 now, and for the first time I had a full blood panel done, and I was just curious. I was just very curious as to
Right.
what was because everybody has their opinion on what you should take,
Right.
and I kind of figured out that everybody's different, and you really got to just figure out like what's going on with your body,
Right.
kind of because I'm like, well, what if nothing's wrong? Am I just taking these vitamin D and vitamin B12 and C every day for nothing? Like,
Oh,
is there
no.
ways- you're not gonna.
Definitely not. Especially because I guess for me, I'm a little more aware of it because I'm older. And the older we get, I'm not quite over 60 yet, but I'm getting close. But the older we get, the less our bodies produce anyway. And the harder it is to get enough in to actually absorb it to help us and to benefit us. And definitely vitamins are beneficial in
Right.
lots of ways. So
Can you have too many though?
not the water soluble because your body's going to get rid of what you don't
Your
need.
body would flush it out.
Oh, yeah.
automatically. But you can have too much of an IV infusion.
Oh no, because everything that I just gave you in there is all water soluble. So
Okay, so how long does a IV infusion last? Like,
usually about a month or so. It's good for.
okay,
Yeah.
wow, that's pretty good. So
Yeah.
you could just do it once a month.
That's usually what I tell people. I mean, there are people that get them more often than that, but once a month is usually.
Is that just to feel good? Like maybe they had a bad hangover or
Like a lot of people,
maybe not
the
feeling good.
Myers drip that we give is the one that's just most people get just to stay healthy and to feel good. The one I'm giving you is more for soreness and stuff from working out and people that work out a lot and need a little bit of an energy boost and that glutamine that's in there that helps that muscle production. So there's special ones. I mean, like the other day I just gave somebody, he had a migraine, she called me, and so I just went and gave her a migraine drip that's got special formulated for. I've got drip that I can give you for allergies if you've got allergies, special things to put in there to help with the allergies. I've got one treat a sunburn if you get a really bad sunburn.
Really?
Yeah, because a sunburn, if you think about it, if you get a really bad sunburn, it's like having a burn. I mean, it's a burn. And what do they do for burns in the hospital? They give you
I have
IV
no clue.
fluids. They give you
Really?
IV fluids.
I didn't know that.
And anti-inflammatories, which we have both of. So, yeah, I mean,
I do have a pretty bad sunburn too because I've been just.
well, I gave
Like
you
I
the
said,
Toradol in
outside.
there, and that drip has the Toradol, so that will help that because it's got
Okay, cool.
anti-inflammatory in it.
Well, hell, I would have went floating today and got a nasty sunburn if I knew that. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't
Yeah.
know, but I've never had that bad of a sunburn.
Right.
Like
yeah.
whereas like
Right, because when you get a sunburn, it's like most time it's just a first degree burn, but some people get a bad enough sunburn, they've got second degree burns, and that's what they do for people with bad burns is fluid replacement because that's what you need. So, yeah.
Okay. Huh. So what's one of these costs? Like if I called you up and it's like, hey, just set up an appointment to get an IV drip. What's something like that cost?
All of ours kind of vary. Our cheapest drip is $175. It goes all the way up to $298. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that's expensive. It is expensive. I agree. But the way our company works is we're held to a certain standard, right? We want to be professional. We're nurses, right? We're professionals, and we're coming to your house. That also includes the price of me coming to your house, the driving that I have to do, whatever. And
Your time.
And my time and the vitamins that we are getting, they're expensive too. So,
Right.
It might be, if you price things out, our prices might be a little bit higher than someone if you were going to like drive to their brick and mortar building.
Sure.
If you're driving to them, it's going to be a little bit less expensive. And something else I always like to tell people is on our website, we list exactly what we give in each drip, all the way down to the milligrams that we're giving. So, if you want to do a comparison that way, like, well, their Myers drip is cheaper than your Myers drip. Well, okay, first off, how many milligrams of everything are you getting? Because we give the max amount of all the milligrams that you can give. So,
And
you got to think about that.
having
too.
to go somewhere,
Yes.
that takes so much time of your day.
Right.
So much time.
Right.
Like if you're like, hey, I got a half-hour lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
You can come over on my lunch break and do it.
Right.
Would you do something like that?
Right. Oh, yeah.
If you
Absolutely.
if somebody planned it out ahead of time, they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, I got this going on. Can you come out Friday? I got a half-hour or an hour lunch break. Come set me up. Like, you know how much time that would save somebody?
Right.
An insane amount of time.
Exactly. Instead of them having to get in their car, drive to you, set an appointment up, get
What's
there.
the max distance you'll go, though? Because there's got to be a limit, right?
Without an extra charge, I've been going anywhere from 35 to 40 miles.
Okay.
For an extra charge, I would go wherever you want me to go.
That's far. It just depends. Like, you just add up, like, the miles.
Right. Yeah.
Basically just like renting a U-Haul.
There would be like an extra charge.
99 cents a mile.
Right. If I had to go really far to get to you, like, for instance, I almost got a 15-party bachelorette party at the Lake of the Ozarks. Mm-hmm. And heck yeah, I would have gone and done that.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. But I would have charged extra to do that, obviously.
Yeah, that's a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's like an hour and a half, 2 hours from you.
So, yeah, I will charge extra if I have to go a ways, but I've been pretty lenient on what I'm charging. I went to Wentzville the other day. Of course, that was only, for me, it was only about 35 miles. I didn't charge extra for that.
Okay. You're 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still some time.
Yeah.
You still got some time in there. You definitely got to get paid for that.
Right.
People don't factor that kind of stuff
No.
in.
Yeah.
Not when they're being cheap. And I think it's way easier to just be a little more expensive
Right.
than it is to be a little bit cheaper. Because
Right.
the people that undersell themselves, they're the ones that are going out of business.
Right.
Like they're the ones that are always struggling.
Right.
And then what ends up happening is that they end up cutting, because most of the time people don't cut out of their own pocket, they cut out of the customer's pocket.
Right.
And I've seen that, because I used to be a body man. I used to paint cars for a living. And I used to watch people go to body shops and get an estimate, and they'd want to go to the cheapest body shop, and their insurance is paying for it. I'm like, well, go to the most expensive one, because they're probably the one that's using the best products.
Exactly.
The ones that are so much cheaper an hour, like say if it's a $5,000 quote and then the other place gives you $4,000, well, they're probably still paying their sales and their employees the same amount,
Right.
and it's coming out in product.
Yes.
They're using a cheaper clear coat, they're using cheaper primer, they're
Right.
skipping a step, maybe they're not prepping something
Right.
properly, maybe they're using cheaper parts, but there's somewhere in there it's cheaper, so
Right.
sometimes it's not worth it to go that cheap
Right.
route.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. Exactly. And then also I noticed that, just because it's cheaper, someone might buy it one time,
Right.
but then they realize it's not worth it.
Right.
Like anyone will buy a good quality product over and over and over.
Right.
But something's cheap, you only buy it one time. You're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
Like I'm going to buy the good stuff and I'm just going to be done with it. I think that's like, at least that's what I've kind of figured out.
Right.
When I started my podcast here, I had like cheap microphones. I didn't have a mixer. cheap cameras, and it was like this whole system that was just, it was tough. Like, it was very hard to do the podcast. The podcast quality wasn't turning out the way I wanted. And because of that, like, the retention time on my videos were so much less. Like, people weren't even watching them for the full day because it was maybe the audio was off, something like that. And I just fought it. And I got to the point where I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go out. I'm going to get some good mics. I'm going to buy some good headphones, good cameras, and just do it right so I don't have to deal with this stuff anymore. So it's something I kind of learned along the way, too.
And as far as, like, I always say your product is like, how many people can you get to come back? And I've already had return customers. I've already done 2 and 3 IVs on them. So it obviously works.
Yeah.
People are coming back, which is great. I love it. So,
yeah, and then just the events that you do, too.
Yeah.
Those probably keep you busy.
yes. Oh, yeah.
You think it'll get to a point where, like, you'll be just having someone completely do events and then someone just do all the running, too?
Probably. Yeah, I foresee that. Tomorrow I'm actually going to the Legends, doing an event at the Legends, a golf tournament, all day tomorrow and all day Saturday.
Oh, wow.
So
That'll be a busy day.
yeah, that's coming up, and then got your event coming up. That looking forward to that, and
Well,
then
and you partner here and in Dallas. You partner with chiropractic.
yes,
offices.
that's another thing too. We've partnered with chiropractic offices, so I'm partnering with Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka,
Okay.
and so we're doing the event together tomorrow with them. But I'm going to start going to their office one day a week and offering my services there.
Yeah, and I feel like you could partner up with
Yes.
any of them all over
Right.
the place. As long as you don't get in a position where one chiropractic's like, you have to do business with only me. Mm-hmm. When you get stuck in this exclusive deal where you have to
Right.
always go to them.
Right.
Because that's where it starts to suck.
Right.
I know a lot of gyms won't sell supplements in their facility because something Superstore sells the products. And I'm like, I don't want to get in a position like that because for me, it makes me a lot of money to be able to sell supplements
Right.
inside my gym. And my people like it too.
Right. Right.
So, so you think you'll have someone doing the chiropractic offices, and then someone doing events, and then someone doing the mobile
Right.
stuff too?
Actually, Shannon that I hired, and she's actually a nurse practitioner, her interest is a lot in the chiropractic part. So she's going to be helping me a lot at the chiropractic thing. And then I think Wendy that I've hired is going to be more with the events and stuff. So
Okay, because you said Shannon likes chiropractic.
she is kind of into functional medicine, which I don't know how much you've heard about functional medicine, but kind of goes in with what we're talking about in functional medicine, meaning not so much the standard, medicine where you go to the regular doctor or whatever, but it's like trying to do things like this to keep our bodies taking vitamins, exercising, doing things to stay healthy so that we don't need to go to the doctor.
More proactive than reactive.
Right.
Sure, instead of just getting a bunch of pills.
Which is kind of what functional medicine is. And it's just utilizing things that we have available to us that we just don't use because we either don't know how good they work or, so.
Yeah, because people could feel so much better.
Yes.
And live so much better lives
Exactly.
if they just ate a little bit better.
Right. Right.
Got the right vitamins in their life, go to the gym, get enough sunlight every day,
Right.
get enough sleep every night.
Exactly.
There's a lot of those things that someone could fix a lot about their life very quickly and be a lot happier and feel a lot better. But instead, they're like, well, I think I just need to go to a doctor.
Right.
And they're just going to get some type
Right.
of drug to help them out.
Exactly.
Like even now, like depression and anxiety, I do think there's some people that it's like a chemical thing
Oh, absolutely.
inside
For
their
sure.
head. But there's some people that all they have to do is just get up and do something.
Exactly.
Like they're sitting. There's a lot of people that are sitting around doing nothing. Maybe remote workers or people that have still not found a job after COVID, and they're just sitting around all day and they're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you right now, those days, like Saturday, if I wake up on a Saturday and I don't get going, I feel like crap.
Exactly.
Like I
Same. Mm-hmm.
don't feel good until I go to the gym, and I don't get I don't do a hard workout on Saturday. Like that's usually my rest day, but I'll go in and I'll just do some lightweight just to get some blood flowing.
Yes.
That's all I need. Just to
Exactly.
get stretched out, get some blood flowing, and then after that I feel great.
Right.
And so I think that is definitely is something that needs to be talked about more.
Yes.
Something that's needs to be pushed more. But doctors aren't going to do that.
No.
Because they make a commission
I know.
off the drugs that they sell.
I know. Well, that was one of the reasons why I went into nursing was both of my parents, all kinds of medical problems. They've both been overweight all their lives, not very active, and now they're in their 80s and they have all kinds of medical issues because everything's caught up to them. And so it was my goal to not have to be that way. Like I did not want to be, I didn't want to have to take 20 pills when I'm 80. If I can just move my body and do the things that I need to do, you can't change genetics, obviously, but I can change everything else. And so that's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah,
So,
and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort.
No.
Like you don't have to go to the gym and be like these meatheads that
Right.
are slamming the weights down and
Right.
just bro lifting as much weight as they can.
Right.
Like, because I would actually say 60 to 70% of my gym is 50 and older that come to my facility.
Right.
And I keep getting more and more. And something that I always try to make sure to tell them is like a 20-minute workout is huge.
Yes.
All you got to do is come in and just move that muscle and keep it from breaking down. Like
Right.
you don't have to take nothing
Right.
special. You don't have to like do anything special. I'm like, just come in every single day and just work that muscle.
Yep.
Like, you don't have to like go crazy and lift
Right.
heavy weight. Like
Right.
just get that muscle moving a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is insanely important.
Right.
So honestly, the fact that your parents are 80, made it to 80, and you said they had all these health problems is
80.
actually pretty
I
good.
know.
84 and 85. Yeah, I just had lunch with them today, actually.
But my mom has, lots and lots of health
She's had, 9 episodes now where she's gone into heart failure?
and had to be
She's
intubated.
still kicking. Just last week, actually, she was in the hospital for heart failure. She wasn't intubated, but she was
Because I've seen some like pretty healthy people don't even make it
Oh,
that
yeah.
old. But then I say that, but then I've also seen I think I have a 92-year-old that comes in
Wow.
the gym and works
Oh,
out.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like there's like some like dedicated
Yeah.
older people that come to the gym and they're proud of it. I think there's one gentleman I think he's probably 86, comes in the gym and he's like he's like, there's no way I'm not coming in.
Right.
He'll even say like, I think he fell like this past winter when it was wintertime or when it was icing out and hurt his hip or hurt his ribs. That's what it was. He hurt his ribs. And his doctor's like, don't work out. Take it easy. Yeah. And he's like, no way. He's like, I can come in and do some other stuff, some light arm work, or he's like, I can work my calves. He's like, I'm just going to take it easy on my,
Right.
because I think he said it like they didn't want him to stay out of the gym for 2 weeks to a month, something like that, like for quite a significant amount of time. He's like, I'm scared to sit down for that long.
Right.
He's like, I'm scared if I sit down for that long. He's like, I might not get back up. And you see that
Right.
a lot. I feel like that's what happened because my grandpa lived to be, I think he died right before he turned 96.
Oh, wow.
So like lived a pretty good life, and he was very active. He was a very active guy, and it was kind of just like when he was getting older, he decided he had his own house all up to 95, and then for some reason he decided he was going to go check himself into a VA home, and he was there 2 weeks. Said he hated it, left the VA home, and it was 6 months later he died.
Oh.
And he said that he's like, yeah, the whole time I was there, they just wanted to give me something to slow me down because he
Right.
still wanted to go out. Like he was at the VA home, but he wanted to go out and do stuff. And they just were giving him stuff to slow
Right.
him down. And he's like, I couldn't do it. He's like,
Right.
it's depressing inside there.
COVID did that to a lot of older people too, slowing you down, keeping you inside. My other set of grandparents are in their mid-80s as well, and they used to be active. They were going on cruises and all over the place, doing stuff every day. And COVID hit, they got stuck in the house, and now their mental capacity is slowed way down. They're not
Yeah.
as active. They're not as healthy.
Yeah, it's hard to get back in that mindset
Right.
to get you going. It's hard
Yeah.
to get that ball going again.
Right.
Yep.
And that's and they're still like that, huh?
Yeah.
Think they'll get back out and get going?
Probably not.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you've seen it happen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I have seen some people join my gym because I didn't open up till after COVID. It was July of 2021 was when I opened up. So it was like right after, like California was opening back up again, and just people weren't so scared. Like masks weren't mandatory anymore, and I still have people trickling in, telling me they're like, yeah, I haven't worked out since COVID. I quit working out, and You know, like it has been a big impact,
Yeah.
especially for older people.
Yeah.
Especially for when it was COVID and I couldn't go to the gym, I started running for the first time. I'm not a runner, but I was like,
Me too.
I'm like, man, I got to do something because
Right.
I have all this extra energy. So if I'm just sitting around doing nothing,
Same.
I start to go crazy, and it comes out in just stupid, dumb ways. Like I just have, so I'm like, I got to go do something. So I went and I just ran at the park. I was starting to run at the park in the morning, and that's also when I found out that running at 210 pounds is totally different than running at 170 pounds.
Yeah,
It definitely feels different on their feet.
for sure.
So that's when
For
I
sure.
invested in my first pair of Ghost Brooks. You ever had any of them?
Yep.
They're amazing. You ever had some of them?
I run on Sauconys. My feet are too big for everything else.
What are they called?
Sauconys.
Sauconys?
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
what I wore too.
They're
Sauconys.
It's a
a
running
Japanese
shoe?
running brand.
Will you look that up, Ariel? I kind of want to see that. You like
Sauconys.
them a lot?
Oh yeah, I
They're
love
great.
that.
Yeah, I like Hoka's a lot too.
Yeah, Hoka's are good.
It's SAU. And I think it's CONY.
Saucony?
Yep.
Saucony running shoes?
Yep. The endorphins, those are really good.
Yeah, those are what I ran on. I actually just wore them out. I probably put 500 miles on them.
Dang.
I mean, it took a few years. I'm
Yeah,
not
you
that
did
big of
get
a runner,
into it.
but yeah.
Well, you get it from your mom.
Well, yeah, God. My cousin ran track for Syracuse, and now he does marathon stuff with her, and I'm the fat one that doesn't run.
Sure.
I started working a desk job. I'm like 245 now.
Yeah. Well,
I got to drop some weight.
to a runner, that might not be a lot, but someone that doesn't run all the time, that's a
Yeah.
lot of running.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those look like the is that endorphin? Is that the name of the ones? They look just like Ghost Brooks.
Yeah, they're all very similar.
The Brooks I used to run in Brooks all the time. I didn't wear the Ghosts. I wore the Brooks Fresh Foam, I think they were called.
Well, Brooks sponsored Boston for a while too, right? So that's why you were running those. Because you've done Boston how many times? 13 times? 12
No.
times? No, not that many.
9 times.
9 times.
9 times. And you said you were there during the bombing, right? You
Yeah,
said that
it
was your
was-
first year. What was
And-
that like?
So my husband and son were standing.
Not me. Different.
Yeah, my son that lives in New York. He's so they were standing right at the finish line where the bomb went off, actually, and they weren't there when the bomb went off. They had just left about 5 minutes before it went off, and I had been running, pulled my hamstring, and so I went in the first aid tent, and so I was about less than a football field away from where the first bomb went off when it went off, but I was kind of behind a big tent, and so I couldn't really see anything. Just kind of heard commotion. I heard what I thought sounded like a bomb that I've heard on TV, not that I've ever heard one in real life. And the girl next to me said, "That was a cannon." And I said, "A cannon? The race is going on. Why would they?" Well, it wasn't long. Then the second one went off. And then once the second, but it was more in the distance. And when the second one off, I mean, people just started going crazy. There was smoke everywhere. There were helicopters, sirens, police, and then they said there was a bomb at the finish line, and I'm like, well, that's where my husband and son were standing, and I didn't see them, and I didn't have my cell phone on me. I was trying to borrow cell phones. The cell phones weren't working. And
You
then
got their numbers memorized?
yeah, well, my husband's I do.
Okay.
Just his.
Not very many people.
I don't even have
know
his
numbers
memorized.
anymore.
No, I know.
I know my mom's, and that's it. That is it.
Yeah, I don't know many either, just my husband's. And so it wasn't working. And then the police started yelling, "Get away," because there was supposedly another bomb in the library. And so we all just started kind of walking away. It took about an hour for my husband and son to find me, just aimlessly wandering.
Well,
in
yeah,
this
and they
park.
had shut the city down, and phones weren't working because they set the bombs off with their cell phones. So they shut all the cell phone towers down. So you had zero communication unless you were face to face with somebody.
Yeah.
And
How did they end up finding you then?
They just randomly.
Just luck?
My
in the middle of
husband-
Boston?
Right, yeah. So my husband
30,000
said,
runners and another 50,000 spectators. They happened to find each other walking opposite ways. Yeah.
That's,
after about 45 minutes.
I would say
Yeah.
there was a bit of a blessing and fate.
Yes, for
Well,
sure.
there's more to
that
that
day.
story too. Before she crossed the finish line,
So yeah, I don't know, not sure how you feel about this kind of thing, but so my husband's mom was killed in a car accident when
he was about 19 or 20 when he was in college.
yeah. And so anyway, I was running this was before the bomb went off. I was running and I'd pulled my hamstring and I kept stopping and walking because it was hurting. And all of a sudden, about mile 22, I was walking and someone just like shoved me in the back and said, "You need to run." And I turned around and there was no one there. And at the time I was like, what the heck? Like, who just did that? Like, and I thought, oh, well, someone had to have been there and I just didn't see him, right? Well, long story short, had I walked the rest of the way, they would have still been standing where the bomb went off.
They were within 15 feet of where the first bomb went off.
So my husband's like, it was my mom. It was my mom.
So when that happened, you stopped? That's when you went to the tent?
No, so I started having the pain about mile 18. So I was trying to walk, run all the way. And I was walking more than running. But after I got shoved in the back by whoever that was, I'm like, something inside of me was just like, I guess I better run. Like, I don't know why, but I just had this overwhelming, I'm going to run the rest of the way. So I did. Got to the first aid tent.
Less than 5 minutes before the bomb went off.
So the first aid tent is like, I'm
After
trying to
the
picture.
finish line. So you go
okay.
through the finish line, and they kind of route everybody in a corral through to the first aid tent. If you need the first aid tent, you go in there.
Okay.
So she had been across the finish line less than 5 minutes.
And that's why your husband and your son.
So they saw me finish, and I did. It was my first time at Boston, and he asked me that morning, "Where do you want us to be?" And I said, "The finish line. I want you at the finish line," thinking I would be able to see them at the finish line. There's so many people in Boston. Like, no.
Yeah.
I had no idea. They were in the video they took. They were screaming my name, and never heard them. Never. And so when they saw me cross, they're like, "Okay, we'd made plans to meet at the hotel. You're just about done." Then, so they had left, and they didn't know I stopped at the first aid tent. So
if you watch the videos on the marathon bombing and at the finish line, there's like both sides of the road, there's about probably 40 to 60 feet just deep of people on either side of the road. And they were standing on the side that the bomb went off, and like within 15 feet, we actually had FBI come out to the house.
That's so crazy.
And look through his phone to see if they could see pictures of anything, because they had no idea.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so when she got routed through, they had kind of walked around because it finishes in downtown Boston. So there's no easy way to get. So it's kind of like if you got dropped in the middle of St. Louis and there's 100,000 people around.
That's what I imagine.
Right.
I imagine like a ball game.
Exactly.
People all over the
Yeah.
place. Roads are
Right.
shut down. You can't. Traffic is insane.
Yeah, and there's no cut throughs between the buildings, so like they've got to walk like 6 blocks to get around to where she was going to be coming out at, and they just happened to find each other.
What a crazy
yeah.
crazy thing.
Yeah. Then I went back the next year and got a PR and ran, and there were so many snipers on
Yeah,
all
they've
the
got.
roofs.
I've got all kinds of pictures of snipers on the roofs and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
you-
security's
Do
insane.
you feel pretty safe then?
Oh, yeah.
Like you had no doubt when you were going to go that you're like,
Yeah, and I'm like,
I'm safe.
I'm going to get your IV. I was like,
my AV's finished. For anyone that's just listening, I feel like that went quick.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Probably 35 minutes. Yeah. So, did you start that at 6:30 ish?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention either.
I think it was around 6:30.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate because you're supposed to be here at 6, so probably took us about 30 minutes to get everything
Yeah.
rolling.
More on her running though. So she that was before you did Boston. You did that 60 miler, right?
sometimes worse than the IV.
Okay,
So,
Melissa's warning me that. Oh, you're just talking about ripping it off?
yeah, ripping it off.
Oh, I thought you meant pulling it out.
No. The hair.
Oh yeah, you just gotta rip it.
Okay.
Want me to hold it?
Got that. Yes.
No, that wasn't bad.
It wasn't too bad.
Piece of cake.
So yeah, she did a 67 miler by herself down the Katy Trail. So they have a thing every year called the KT82, and it's a relay event. But there's a few psychos that run it by themselves. It's a little shorter than the 82 miles. It's 67 miles. So I was her backup crew, and she started that morning at 3:30 a.m. Ran 13 and a half hours all the way from what was it, like St. Charles, right? Or Creve Coeur?
Yes,
All the
right.
Creve Coeur all the way to Herman.
Dang.
on the Katy Trail.
By yourself.
By myself.
Is that the biggest you ever ran?
Yeah, that's
That
what it was.
is,
2 weeks later, ran a 50 miler. Just saying.
that's an insane amount.
I'm crazy when it comes to.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Because, like, at what point?
I'll never do that again though, because by the end of that, so I thought I had a blister on my toenail.
Mm-hmm.
In actuality, my toenail was slowly being pulled out.
Yeah. And I've heard about that. I've heard, like, David Goggins. You know David Goggins,
goodness.
right? Like, he's talked
Yeah.
about that. Mm-hmm. And how soon in the race does that start to happen?
That didn't start to happen until about 50 miles.
But you still, so 17
But
miles.
yes. And it was a very hot day. But one thing I can tell you that running has taught me, it's taught me a whole new appreciation for what pain really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I only thought I knew what pain was before I started running.
Sure.
And for me, I started running at an older age. I have a son who
Like, what's an older age?
I was 40
Okay.
when I started running. I have a son who got addicted to drugs, and his friend died. And then my son kind of went off the deep end, and so I got really depressed and gained a lot of weight, and decided I needed to do something. Like I just can't live like this anymore. And so I just decided to start running. And I used to run in sports in high school, but like it was my punishment. Like I played basketball and
Sure.
I hated
And
it.
you're with a team, too.
Yeah.
So it's like you're there, you're all running together. It's just like a
Right.
thing.
So I started running and I thought, okay, I ran, and then thought, I'm going to do a marathon or a half marathon. I'm going to do a half marathon. Did a half marathon.
What's a half marathon?
13 miles.
Okay.
13.1. Then I was hooked, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a full, and I've since
How long did it take you to get to that half marathon, though?
um,
You can't just
about
start.
6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that is soon.
About 6 months.
I couldn't. There's no way if I start running right now, I could run
But
Wow.
I started running.
or half marathon.
I lost all of my weight, and I thought, okay, I can do a half marathon. And I mean, I didn't run the whole thing the first time. I ran it.
Sure.
And then I'm like, well, I'm going to do a full. And then I just got hooked. And so I do tend to have a little bit of an addictive personality. So running is an addictive sport. Like
Yeah.
lifting's addictive. I mean,
Well, I've always heard about people getting runner's highs,
yeah, definitely happens.
and that's something I don't understand. But is it just like what is it? Is it just like a thing where you just black out eventually?
No,
You're
it's
just, like, zoned out
Yeah,
just
you're
running?
zoned out. Yeah, and
It's a hard one
There's
to
a-
explain. Yeah, I don't.
yeah, there's a certain point where you just feel like you could run forever. Like, and your body is capable of so much more than you think it is. Like, you just have to convince
That's why I
this
want
thing.
to get into running.
Yeah.
That's why I want to. But the problem where I'm at, and this is just an excuse, but there's nowhere good to run. I know it's just an excuse.
Oh, that's true. Especially for you out here. And I mean, even in Washington where we live, like, I mean, I'm running the same thing over and over. And traffic is horrible.
They hate runners. They will
Dodging.
honk all
Dodging
the time.
people. And
But like a trail, do you think that's?
the trail's good, but it's only like 8 miles. So, like,
Only
if
8
you're
miles.
trying
I'm
to.
talking the Katy Trail.
Oh, the Katy Trail. I have to drive quite a ways to it.
Are you talking the waterfront trail?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
The
I would
Katy
s-
Trail, I mean, I obviously ran 67 miles on it one
Mm-hmm.
time, but it's always hot out there and there's not a lot of shade. And
Is it worse running on gravel?
yeah, you're using a lot more stabilizer muzzles when you're running on.
Yeah, I just imagine running
yeah.
on gravel and I feel like
It's
I'm
a lot
just
harder to
sliding
run on
around
gravel. Mm-hmm.
all over the place.
Yeah, for sure.
But as someone that's like a heavier guy, it's hard to run on asphalt too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
There's
Katy
no
Trail
give.
is easier on you because it's less, shock to your system, but I'm not a big fan of.
At your weight, do you have that problem? Like, is that a problem? Like when you run, like, is it?
I mean, it does feel better to run on softer surfaces. I mean, it's not fun running on like Fifth Street in Washington is uneven, so you run on that, and one of your hips will start hurting because you're tilted. You're not on a flat surface.
I see.
So it just depends on the surface.
Look into the Hokas though. The Hokas are really cushiony, thick running shoes.
We looked them up, Ariel. We didn't get a chance to look them up. Those other ones. Yeah.
Sauconys, the ones that I had were really thick on the soles, but these are made for, yeah.
How do you know which ones to choose? You get the most expensive ones?
No, they've got, if you go to their website, they've got a pretty good, but you see how thick those soles are?
Yeah.
They're really soft, so
It's
that'll,
not hard to run in, though.
no, it's actually bouncy.
I personally didn't like
her,
them.
yeah.
The best thing to do if you really want to start running is go somewhere like Fleet Feet that can tell you exactly, they can watch you run and tell you what you need. Do you need stability shoes? Do you need non-stability shoes? Like what kind of shoes? Then they can direct you to what you should be wearing.
What shoe I actually need. I see.
And I mean, the Brooks you're wearing, those are good running shoes.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I'd run maybe a mile.
Okay.
After a mile, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
It's not
Well, I mean, running, I mean, it does take you a while to,
get into it.
it does. I mean, but
Yeah, I never gave it. I just never gave it
Yeah.
long enough.
yeah.
I never did.
Yeah.
There's one park. I was running at the park by us, and it was just like an asphalt trail that went around it. But I feel like it was a pretty rough one to start on because it's very hilly. It's very there's a lot of there was like U corners all over the place on it,
Oh,
and just
yeah.
hills, and it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just not a fun one to run.
Yeah.
I honestly
Hills.
because I'm trying to get back into running a little bit to drop some weight. Treadmill running is not fun, but it's really good for teaching you how to keep pace because that's a problem a lot of people have when they get into running. Is you think you can run a 6-minute mile and you can't. If you don't run, you can't run a 6-minute mile and keep it consistent.
Sure.
So if you can
Makes
set a
sense.
treadmill to an 8 or a 10-minute pace and just see how far you can go and then walk a little bit, set it back up, keep going, and you'll get used to that pace and what it feels like. She hates running treadmills. She's probably disagreeing with me. But
No, I agree with that.
it's
part.
it's a good
I would
thing
say
to
for
get
the, I
into
think,
it. Yeah.
I'd say that's very accurate
Right.
for the pace part of it
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A big reason why I don't like running on a treadmill is just because I tend to
Yeah.
move back and forth a little bit, and if it's not a wide one,
Right.
then sometimes you'll step on the edge a little bit and it just
Yeah.
kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you probably just like running outside too.
Yeah,
You
I
probably
do.
just like
I like running outside and find somebody to run with. Hold you accountable too.
yeah, I've thought about that. There's a couple guys in our area that they were big into cross country. I think one's even a cross country coach. So I thought about just reaching out
Yeah.
to him and be like, hey,
Oh yeah.
can I do it? I actually a big reason why I like working out though is I like the alone time.
Yeah.
I like the me time.
Yep.
I like that time
Yep.
to myself. And that's actually a downfall for owning a gym is that I don't get a
Don't.
lot of that time anymore in the
Mm-hmm.
gym. Like it used to be, I would get off work, go to the gym, clear my head for an hour. Now, the gym is
Yeah.
it's my business. So everybody comes up and talks to me. And I do love that aspect. I like being that person that can make everyone feel comfortable in the gym and have at least one person to talk to. But those days that I do need to clear my head, it's very hard to do. And that's actually a reason why I've considered getting into running because it's something I could do by myself.
Yeah. Right.
But the accountability thing
Yeah.
is if I'm trying to do it and work out every day, it's just 2 workouts.
Yeah.
Now, I thought about, you guys ever tried 75 hard?
Yeah. She's doing it.
I'm kind of doing it right at the moment.
I did it
and
at the beginning.
Ariel's
of
doing
last
it
year.
too.
Yeah. There you go.
How many
Oh,
days
yeah.
in are you? 23 days
I'm
in.
47 or 8.
Whew.
I
You're
did it
getting
the
there.
first time though, and I mean, best.
It's good. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I actually could see my abs for the first time ever in my life. It was awesome.
So you've done it once before.
Yeah,
How
and-
long ago was it?
a couple years ago.
Okay.
You did it with me when I did. It was
Yeah,
the
that's right,
beginning
you did.
Oh,
of,
you both did it.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
the beginning of 21
That's right.
or 22.
I think it was 21. Yeah, 'cause
21.
it's been 2 years ago.
Yeah. So we did it at the same time. We started beginning of January, kind of like a New Year's resolution kind of thing. I was in the best shape I'd ever been in doing that. I was running, probably 30, 35 miles a week at that point, and I was in the gym for 2 hours every day. Granted, I was in college, so I had the free time,
Sure.
but it was insane.
Were you guys doing the same diet? Or
No,
did you guys pick your own diets?
we did our own thing.
I just macroed.
Yeah.
That's
I
all.
think that's the best
Yeah.
way to do it.
I-
Personally, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yep, that's all I did.
Yep.
I didn't I'm not a big sugar eater anyway, but I didn't restrict myself to that. I followed everything else to a T, but I had a little bit of sometimes I'd have a little some chocolate chips in my yogurt or something. But like he says, no sugar.
Sure.
But like,
Well, I think and that's the problem I have with 75 hard, and I've never done it, especially because like with my podcast now, my podcast is like my number one priority in my life right now. Like this is like my baby,
right?
and there's some guests that want to come on, they want to have some drinks, and I'm not going to jeopardize the podcast. Or it sounds so lame,
No.
but like I'm like I could do 75 hard and still drink. And I don't care about 75 hard.
Right.
Like, I
Exactly.
don't care about the label.
Right.
And I've thought about even just doing 75 hard tape, like, because I do a lot of social media content, like, all the time. I thought about just doing the content on it, and then on day 74, just pigging out and not working out at all, and just ruining it on day 74 just to be.
Well, and it's really about the mindset. I mean, that's the biggest thing that 75 hard brings with it is just the mindset and the ability to really program yourself into something that's a third of a year. So, it's...
Well, and it's hard to like, and I did follow the exercise thing, and I do follow the exercise thing about the twice a day and making sure it's separated, which gets hard. Cause
One has to be outside.
Yeah. And then at the end of the evening, like when you're exhausted and you're like, the last thing I want to go do is go do something else. But like, here I go. And like, I'm going to do it because I know it's going to make me more mentally strong.
Yeah.
Because, I was so mentally strong after that last time I did that.
I would totally agree. That's the big reason why I want to do it.
Yeah.
Just to like see if I got that mental strength or not.
Right.
Because I've done challenges. I've been since like 23. Yeah, it was 2013. I was like, at that point in my life, I was nothing. Like I had no job, no career, no money, and no plan in life what I wanted to do. And I was just so confused of what I wanted in my life and like what I was going to do. And just like, I was making bad decisions. Not that I was like a terrible person, but I just was like, I was very lost in life. But one thing I started to realize was that I wasn't going in the right direction. And I was 21 at the time. I think I had turned 21 in 2013. So I don't know if I was 21 at this time or not. But I remember I just woke up one day and I was like, I didn't even like soda. And I was like, I wonder if I could just quit drinking soda. And I just woke up one day. I'm like, I'm going to see how long I can go. And I literally haven't had a soda since.
Right.
Like maybe like a sip of, like, I remember I was working one time. My dad had a Pepsi and I took a sip. 'Cause I was dying of thirst. But other than that, like I haven't, I just never went back. And I like to try to do stuff like that. And it was that same year I started working out. So I know I was 21 at the time. And it was December 2nd of 2013. And do you know Andrew Burton at Homefront Fitness?
Yeah. That's the gym I go to. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I've been going there since I was 10. So
Andrew is an awesome guy. And do you remember when...
he was up in sports there. Yep.
Yep. So I was his first customer at the sports building. Nice. I was going to school in Washington at their VOTEC thing. I was an adult student going there, but I only went half a day. And I just always wanted to start working out. It was I'd never worked... Like I did a weight training class in high school, but... It was one of those things where I didn't have any friends that worked out. I wasn't really big in the sports. Like I didn't play any sports. And it was kind of one of those things where people made me feel like I didn't belong in a gym. And I had always been pulled to it. And I had a friend get out of the military. And I was like, dude, I really want to work out. He's like, well, let's go. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I always go in. And then I think everybody's staring at me because I don't know what I'm doing. And I quit. And he's like, well, this new one opened up down here. He's like, let's go give it a try. And we walked in. And it was just Andrew in there. He was super nice. And and I actually remember he told me, he like, cause we called it in advance and he told us that we had to have a check for our first payment. And it was $30 cause we were a student. He's like, you got to have a check cause that's how he runs automatic payments. Well, when we showed up, I literally had put $30 in my bank account and wrote a $30 check out so I could give it to him. And I was like, I was going to have to physically put $30 in my bank every month just to keep going to the gym. And I got there and he's like, well, it's actually $60 because you got to have I guess it was like a setup and then like for the first month or something. And I was like, I was holding this check. And I'm like, I only have $30. Like he told me it's 30. I was like, I only have $30. Like that's all I got to my name. Like once you cash this check, I have no money. And he's like, screw it. I'll let you have a free month. And so then I ended up, I started then and I never quit.
Yeah.
I never quit. And like, because of his gym, it's why I own a gym today.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't for that gym because it took me 3 months, 4 months before I started getting confident in there. And it was nice because I was going in at noon, and Andrew was the same way I am, like very friendly with me every time I came in, tried to have conversation. I don't know, just
Yeah.
it's what I needed in my life at the time. But yeah, I remember I was like when I started, because I have not an addictive personality, I have obsessive personality. So when I get into something, that's all I want to do. Which is like I would
Maybe
say,
that's a better explanation for what I am then.
yeah. Well, I just think obsessive maybe sounds
Yeah.
sounds better. But yeah, I was going on Christmas. Like I would get up and do my thing with the family. I'm like, I gotta go to the gym, or it would be and it's 45 minutes from me, but I'm like, I gotta go to the gym. And I would go in the snow. I would go on Thanksgiving. Like I'd get up before everyone comes over on Thanksgiving. I'm like, I'm going.
I can't tell you how many times I've been with friends at Homefront with, in high school and college over the summers till midnight, 1 in the morning. I mean, we just go there for 3 hours and just work out.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool about having a 24-hour gym.
Yeah. Well, and he's really the only, in my opinion, the only good one in Washington that's 24 hours like that. Because, there's a couple other ones that are quote unquote 24 hours, but you have to sign in or do whatever, and it's tough to get in there. With him, it's like, I got a key card. We used to, before he kind of implemented all the key cards and high-tech stuff, he was like, all right, because he trusted me and my friend because we'd been going there for a decade.
Yeah.
And he's like, that side door's unlocked if you lose your key. Don't worry about it. Just don't tell anybody else. We're like, okay.
So did you have at the time, did he actually have a swipe card, or did you have a key to the building? How was it?
It was
this before in
when
sports?
No, it was after. So he moved to his new building.
Okay.
It's, 7 years ago, probably 6 years ago. I don't know how long it's been, but he didn't always have those RFID cards that worked all the time. And if you lost it or whatever, he couldn't get it to you immediately. So we'd text and be like, "Hey, can you let us in?" He's like, "The side door's unlocked. Don't worry about it. Just don't tell anybody else."
Oh, cool.
But yeah,
That's
he's a
what's
great
so
guy.
cool about
Yeah.
him.
Oh yeah.
He's just a super dude, and he's the guy. When I went to open my gym, because I was in a body shop working and miserable.
Yeah.
Like I loved cars, I enjoyed painting cars, but it just wasn't fulfilling in my life. And I had just like these big goals, and one thing I was getting into reading books. Like I was reading financial help books and just really getting passionate about it because I was always pulled towards business. And I was already in real estate at the time, so I actually made more money in real estate one year than I did working 40 hours a week in a body shop for 52 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah, I think I had doubled my yearly salary basically. And that's when I realized I'm like, I either got to take a step back from real estate because it's a lot of work to be doing this on the side, or I need to just make a leap into some type of business, like whether I open my own body shop or something else. Well, I was reading these books and I was listening to podcasts and I was listening to guys like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, and they're just like talking about how they at some point in their life they made a jump. Like they all worked crappy jobs. They all did the same kind of stuff I was doing in my life, and they were miserable, and they all had to make a jump at some point. I mean, Elon's a little different.
Yeah.
But, I was just listening to them, and I just realized I'm like, I don't want to stay in a body shop. So what do I do? And I'm like, the gym's the only thing I really like to do. My community really needs it. So I think I'm going to try to open a gym. And I reached out to Andrew. I was like, hey, man, can I buy you dinner sometime and throw some ideas off you? I think I want to buy a gym. He's like, sure. And so we met up, and I made a list on my phone. I was nervous because I don't know why. I was just like, to ask someone stuff like that. I felt like it's very personal to ask someone about business.
Right.
And just like some questions I was going to ask, but he was like just super open about everything and super nice. And he's like, if you ever need any help, man, just let me know. And I still reach out to him every now and then. But yeah, if it wasn't for that day, I don't know if I would have bought it because I had so many questions. Right? I've listened to these books. I have ideas, but my family's not in business. I've never owned a business like that. I mean, I have rental properties, but that's totally different business. And I was just like, do you think I could do it? Like that's really all I needed to hear was I was like, do you think this could be successful? And he's like, yeah, I think you could do it. And I'm like, all right. And I think it was like the next week I put a contract on the building and I owned it. Probably, I bet it was less than 6 months later I owned it.
Awesome.
So yeah, he's been a big impact. But I do a lot of challenges like that in my life. We kind of got sidetracked there,
That's
but
okay.
the challenge thing is just
Yeah.
something that's like I'm always driven to, and I think running is going to be one of those things I really want to try for. 75 hard. I think I want to just try it just for the challenge.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's more about just building habits for me.
Yeah,
Like I want
for sure.
I want to do things that are going to make my life better.
Yeah.
Not just because you see a lot of people just suck it up and be super miserable for 75 days. And then at the end of it, they just basically relapse and
Right.
they're eating all the junk food and they're not working out at all anymore. And
Yeah.
they never touch a book again. Like
Right.
I want to read a book
Yeah.
every day. Like that's, I have all behind you is like a whole top bookshelf of books I want to read. And it's like, I want to make a habit of it.
Yeah.
So like, that's what it is to me. It's,
Yeah.
I don't care about saying I did 75 hard.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
People
just,
get caught up in that a lot.
yeah, they just want to be like part of this group.
Right.
Just to say I did it.
But it really, I mean, it sounds corny, but it is transformational.
It is.
I mean,
oh,
it
yeah.
will-
The amount of people that it's,
Yeah.
It will transform you for sure.
yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since I've gone 75 days without probably drinking.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the reason why I decided to get back in it the second time because I was drinking too much. Like, because I was going to Dallas and Abby has kids and we'd sit down and start brainstorming at 9. She'd pop open a bottle of wine. Next thing you know, we've down 2 bottles of wine between
Yeah.
the two of us. And every night, it was like,
And then you're eating like crap around
Yeah,
it too.
it's like,
You're
okay.
eating the snacks. while
and
you're
then
doing
I
it.
started training again. And it's like, it just doesn't mix very well with
No,
me
it doesn't.
training at all.
No, it definitely makes it harder.
Like your heart rate's up all the time. You can't sleep at night. Yeah.
Well, even, when you're you just show up on the gym on Monday, you drink that weekend and you're struggling though.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And it's like you're starting all over every time. So I
Yeah.
totally get that too.
Yeah.
Like any more like I don't know, like I like it's hard for me to have drinks during the week. I will on the podcast, but I'm like in a brain fog when I wake up in the morning.
I know.
If I
know.
drink. So it's like I wake up, I got a list of things I want to get done that day.
Right.
And if I drink that night before, I just basically just say, I'm like, man, half my day is screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Half my day is just getting myself motivated. It's not
Yep.
even like I can't just wake up and hit it and go. So it's a struggle. Well, you guys want to wrap the podcast up?
Yep.
You think we've been in it long enough?
Sure.
Melissa, Dalton, I really appreciate you guys coming out. I really appreciate the IV. It was a lot of
I
fun.
hope you enjoy it.
If you guys are still listening to the podcast, go find it's the Drip Mobile IV on Facebook, Instagram too. Go find them. You can find them on probably Google, right? You can find
Yes.
it anywhere out
Yes.
there. Get you guys a mobile IV Fusion. Come out to my event. Well, this is probably going to come out after my event, but look them up if you guys want to try it. Like Melissa will come out. She'll hook you up.
Yep, for
It's a lot
sure.
of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.